Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. As you already know, it's your boy Director Vim, and yes, today we got another special video for you guys, and today we're basically going to talk about the Nikon D7000. Without wasting my time, let's get straight into the intro. So welcome back guys. I know this is a video that a lot of people tend to watch anytime I make them. When we talk about the Nikon, I mean the Nikon, there are a lot of Nikon fanboys out there, and people tend to love this brand for reasons that I don't know, because I personally do not use Nikon, but sometimes I do get my hands on just to do some few gigs here and there, and sometimes I do it or get them for the purpose of this review. Before you get into this bashing and all that, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm aware the first video that I did about a year ago, a lot of people were talking a whole bunch of things. Hey, it seems like you don't know much about the camera. Hey, this is wrong, this is that. Okay guys, pardon me, all right? I'm a human being. I can make mistakes. I do make mistakes. So when I do make mistakes, I don't think it's right to just speak anyhow of the particular mistake that I made instead of correcting me in the comment section. I stand to be corrected. Sometimes these reviews that we do, it's not always, I do have a bunch of items and cameras that I normally talk about. So not every review that I do is going to be 100% accurate. Sometimes I might get some stuff wrong. As you guys can see, there's one camera here. There's another one here again. There we go. So there are a whole bunch of cameras lying around here, and yes, we're going to talk about all these cameras. So if you are new on the channel, do not forget, like, subscribe to stay tuned, because this is what we basically do here. We talk about gears, we talk about film, photography, and anything that got to do with cinematography in a whole. So yeah, let's get straight to it. So this is the Nikon D7000. As most of you guys do know, this camera has been in the market for ages now, okay? Trust me, now this camera, I think we should call this camera an OG or a legendary camera now, because it has been in the market for a while. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna keep about it. I purposely bought this camera because of this review. I wasn't even gonna buy it because I had one before which I made a video about, but maybe someone also wants to get his hands on it. Someone wants to buy it in today's standard. He doesn't know how it feels or how it looks, how it works or perform in today's standard. So this video is going to guide you on the things that you should know, the things that are not good about this camera, the things that are best on this camera, overall the general performance, in order to help you whenever you want to get your hands on this particular camera. This camera does 60 megapixel if I'm not mistaken here. It does shoot 60 megapixel, and a lot of things that people do get confused about this camera. All right, this camera is not a full frame. Yeah, this camera is not by any means a full frame camera. This is an APS-C camera. It's a crop sensor camera, so you should always be aware of the crop factor whenever you put a lens on it. A lot of people do think that this camera is a full frame because of how the body is built and all that. If you compare this camera to the Nikon D5, this is 5000, right? Yeah, D5100, you can actually tell that the sizes are not the same. This one is actually heavier, bigger, bulkier, and it actually feels steady compared to this particular one. So it tends or give people the assumptions that this is a full frame camera, but this is by no means a full frame camera. All right, when we come to the video specs, it does shoot 1920. You do get your 24 frames, you do get your 30 frames. I'm not sure if I don't think there is more than that. There is no slow-mo capabilities on this camera. I know, in this recent cameras, in this camera world or this tech world where we are right now, you do get a whole bunch of cameras. All the way from full HD 120 frames, full HD 60 frame at least, which we already have on the EOS R. But here you do not get such. 11, this is probably, I think 13 years, right? 13, 12 years now. Yeah. It's a while. It's been in the market for a while, and that's why I'm calling it an OG, because it's been in the market for a very long time. So overall, the belt quality is great. I'm not gonna lie, this belt quality, it feels good in the hands. Whenever you are shooting, it actually feels like a pro body camera, but this is by no means a pro body. I think this is their mid-range camera, if I'm not mistaken. So it does the work. It does shoots here, some photos, some videos up and down. I visited Santa Maria in Accra, and I happened to shoot a couple of pictures and a couple of videos with this particular camera, with this particular lens. And it's crazy the results that came from this particular camera. Like, I mean, just have a look at this lens, guys. This is the 1855, if I'm not mistaken, and it's all plasticky. So I took this out on the field, and now this is what I managed to get. Let's have a look. I'm pretty much aware that there are a whole bunch of videos about this camera on the internet, but this is more of real life test scenario. I mean, we're not applying any editing, we are not applying any funny things. This is straight out of the camera. So let me know what you guys do think. And right now I'm in Santa Maria, Ghana, so I'm going to also try and head to the street and see the type of footages that we may get along the street. So let's go, guys.
Don't call me, it's over, get out of the place. No flatting, no tanning, no time, just erase. Wait, you wouldn't last, that's what you say. You said your mind that you wouldn't, you told yourself that you
I
never.
hope you guys are enjoying the photos. These are straight out of the camera, not edited. And if I by any chance edit them, I will make sure I post it so you guys will see which ones are edited and which ones are not edited. But so far so good. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know your comments, let me know your thoughts about this whole images on the Nikon D7000. This is a microphone and video quality test of the Nikon D7000. I'm not sure how it sounds, I'm not sure how it looks, I'm not sure if I'm in focus, but whatever it is, I guess you guys are the right people to judge. And right now I'm using the Nikon D7000 with the kit lens, which is 1855, a very old one. So let me know in the comment section, let me know what you think in terms of the quality right now, especially with this kit lens that I'm using on the camera. What the fuck? Okay, so guys, let me know your thoughts and comments based on the sample footages that you just saw. Bear in mind, this was no means a professional shot. I didn't do any heavy, adjustments or any heavy calibrations to the camera when I got to the field. There was no ND filter on it. There wasn't much on the camera. It was just this particular camera just took handheld and shot most of the scenes that you saw on the footages. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your comments on what you actually think about this whole footages. But overall, my personal thought will be, with regards to the photos, I think it looks solid, especially with this garbage lens that I have here. I think it did the job. It really tried. It actually blew my mind. So I think with the photo side, it does an amazing job, especially it's having a 16 megapixel, which is a little bit, less than average. So I think with 16 megapixel and the type of images that you do get out of this camera, it does a solid job. My only complaints will have to be the video side, all right? So I got to the roadside, I placed this camera on my little tripod, face it to the roadside for cars to pass. And if I do a little bit of pixel peeking, I can actually see that the image got a bit of noise and it doesn't really feel right. It's like it doesn't have any sharpness. Something is not actually right in the footage, and that is something that I happen to see in the video. I'm not sure if that is because I was viewing it from this particular monitor here, or that is because of the lens. I'm not sure, but you guys are going to see it with your, powerful machines, powerful devices, TV and phones. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how it looks. Do you think the videos are quite, great? What do you think about the video quality? So I shot in 30 frames, or so I think 30 frames. And it was full HD as usual. You can't go any further than that. So that was what I used. And yeah, the video side didn't really seems right to me. Something was not right, and I'm not quite sure. Maybe there's some settings that I'm not doing right here, or it could be the lens. It could be anything. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments about this video that you just saw. But with the photo side, like I said, I do not have much complaints to complain about this camera. Having this camera in the hands really feels like, it doesn't really feel like its age. Nikon was way ahead of their time when they made this camera. This camera actually feels like it was made in 2015 or 2016. This is almost like the Canon 6Ds, the Canon 5Ds except for the processor, I mean the crop factors and all that, but it actually feels solid. Another thing that I think I'm going to pinpoint or going to praise about this camera will have to be the memory card slots. Yeah, that's why I said Nikon was way ahead of their time when they made this camera. I'm not sure how they had the thought, I'm not sure how they came up with this, but guys, a camera which is 13 years old with 2 SD card slots, that is mind-blowing. I doubt if you get that in a Canon camera, especially the DSLR lines. I mean, it's quite insane. So the D7000 got a dual SD card, which you can record to both the SDs, or you can store your backups, or you can let it store one video and whichever you prefer. But yes, it does use the 2SD, and it's just the standard SDs, not CF, no funny deals. This is very easy to get in the market. Wherever you go, you can pick one of this. It's quite easy and very common. So it's quite awesome, and I pretty much like the fact that they implemented this particular feature. I think that is the major advantage or something that I love about this camera. Yeah, that will have to be that particular thing always pulls me back to this camera. It always pulls me back. I mean, I've made a video about this camera already, which I believe you guys have seen it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to make another video, but I felt like, no, let me put my cash out there. I purposely bought this camera all the way from Kumasi. And yes, it is a deal breaker. This is not even a deal breaker. This is I think this is one of the ugliest or the worst purchases I've ever made in my entire life. I bought this from Kumasi from an unknown seller. Sorry, I'm not in Kumasi. I'm in Accra, so obviously I had to send someone through to do the viewings and all that, and the person does not know much about camera. So yeah, unfortunately most of the buttons do not work. This is also out, which I believe it's a common problem with the Nikon cameras. I'm not sure about their recent cameras like the Z series, but I guess that is fixed. But with the D series, D5000, D whatever, you always get this thing misplaced or broken. It's very common to see Nikon cameras with this thing broken. I'm not sure why that is. I'm really, like, I don't even understand why it does that, but most of the times you get this particular portion broken. And I'm not only talking about this particular unit. I bought this camera the same day I bought this from 2 different sellers, and yes, also broken. So I'm really not sure what is happening here, but I think it still works. Even though it's broken, it still holds because of this yellow thing here, so it still functions all right. So that's something that you guys always need to put in your mind or in place whenever you are planning to get this camera. I think maybe you should buy some extra ones, or make sure that you are always focused on that particular section, because they tend to break a lot. So overall, I do not have much complaints. Another thing that I'm going to pinpoint will have to be the LCD, the top LCD, which is up here. I love this. Okay, you know me, when it comes to cameras and their top LCDs, I don't really have complaints. I pretty much love this, because especially for a camera that does not have a flip up screen, which I'm going to talk about that soon, you need this. Okay, sometimes you don't have time to come looking here, checking your percentage of batteries and all that. So normally you do all the necessary, you have to look here to see what is happening. Okay, you got 1% left. Okay, you are shooting on 30 frames, you are on f4, whatever. It's nice because everything is built here for you to see, which it's lovely. I love it. Thanks, Nikon. So yeah, another disadvantage, which I think it's the major problem, I think this is the biggest problem of this particular unit, this particular Nikon. There are a lot of people that are still using this camera. There are a lot of people that still got the love for this particular camera. But I feel like the most turn off for people will have to be the flip up screen. So this camera does not have any flip up screen. I am not sure why, but I guess we cannot question Nikon, because way back 13 years ago, I doubt even if Canon had something like that. Even if they do, or even if they had, it wouldn't be much of their camera lines, probably few of them. So this particular camera, the D7000, does not have a flip up screen. So if you're using it for videography work, it's going to be a problem, because you are not going to get this nice flippy or this nice flippy screen. So all you be seeing is just this particular way. It hurts. So I think if you are getting this camera for video work, you definitely need some monitors and some extra accessories to make sure that you are nailing focus and everything. So yeah, another disadvantage that I will have to pinpoint will have to be the autofocus system. All right, this camera does have autofocus. Don't get me wrong, there's an autofocus in this camera, but somehow or the other, I'm not sure if it's because of the lens, the continuous autofocus does not work. You have to tap. I don't know how it actually functions, but it doesn't really feel right. Sometimes you need to play with the shutter to make sure that you are adjusting focus. It's like you're trying to play with it somehow. I'm not sure why it does that, but the autofocus works, but the continuous autofocus does not work perfectly. So if you're using it for a video work, I would suggest you use the manual focus, or maybe you pull focus, I don't know, but continuous autofocus is a problem. So if you're using it for vlogs, maybe that might be a turn off. But if you're using it for photography, I think you do stand a chance, because with photography, it's very easy. As soon as I tap this, just a little tap, it focuses in place and then you get some nice shots. So I think that will have to be another downside of this particular camera. When I got it, I was like, okay, let me test it up in the car, and I was busy dialing through. The autofocus was not even working at all. I'm like, gosh. So I went through the menu system only to find out that there's a button here. There's this switch here that allows you to change from manual to autofocus. So sometimes it can be on M, and when it's on M, the autofocus will not function. So it needs to be on AF. So whether it's on M and your lens is on AF, the autofocus is not going to work. So in order for you to get the autofocus, you need to make sure that you are on AF here on this button, and your lens is also set to AF. I think this particular button actually disconnects the electronic connection to the autofocus in the lens. So when you place this on manual, the autofocus will not work because you will lose connection to the lens contact. So I think that is what Nikon, I don't know why that is, because I feel like the lens already has its switch for manual and auto. Why do we still have to get this? So I don't know why they did that, but overall, yeah, I think it is what it is. They did what they had to do. So yeah, if you're someone that is willing to get this particular camera, just bear in mind with the input, it does have your microphone jack. You do get your HDMI, and then you do get your USB as well. And there's AV out, which I'm not sure what it does, but it's similar to the headphone jack. So this USB one here will allow you to transfer your files from the camera to your computer anytime you need them. So overall, I'm happy with the camera. It's okay. Even though this particular unit, I've had some cleaner ones. I've had ones which are way beautiful than this one, but it seems like this time I wasn't lucky, and I got I don't know how they were treated. I don't know what they were actually doing with the camera. It's like they were, I don't know, it's like they were scratching it on the walls, or I don't know, but this particular unit is very ugly. Like it's extremely ugly. I don't even want to care about it. There's nothing beautiful about this particular unit, but I guess it does function well. It does take the photos. It does take the videos as well, even though there are some messing, covers and all that, but it does the job. So if you're someone that is willing to get this particular unit, I think that is something that you should bear in mind. So yeah, if you want to get this camera, I think you can go ahead, but the person that I'll suggest this camera to, which this is my personal opinion, I think this camera is much suitable for people who are more into photography. Okay, if you're into photography, this camera is going to do a solid job, especially if you pair it with some amazing glass. I think you're going to get some crazy dope photos. But if you are doing videos, I will really not suggest this camera for videos, because firstly, you do lack a whole lot of codecs. It doesn't shoot 4K, slow-mo is not there. The video is a bit tricky, and I wouldn't really recommend this particular camera for someone who does vlog or someone who does a serious production. But if you're a videographer, I think this is the camera to get, especially for its current price. So overall, so far so good. I don't want to put this video too long, so if you have any questions based on the Nikon D7000, do not forget, list it in the comment section. I am more than willing to answer all your questions. Once again, I'm very sorry for the background noise. Apologies where I am. It's very common, so I'm very sorry. So thank you very much for coming, guys. If you have any question, like I said, drop it in the comment section. Do not forget, like, subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.